Hebrews, Hebrews. This is the Prophets of Awakening. It's our evening Shabbat class. We're closing out the Shabbat, the 30th of December, 2023. We had mentioned this morning about the Prince of Princes, and I said I was gonna search that out and find it in the scriptures, and so I'm gonna deal with that for our topic for discussion. You can go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. We have a lot of videos, which is over 600, and they connect dots for you. Anybody that's seeking the truth. If you like what you're hearing and receiving through these videos, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. And if you feel the need to support, you can check out our Cash App at the bottom of the screen. Okay, this is a non-Messianic channel. And by that, I mean we deal with the Tanakh and the Torah, with Tanakh being the Old Testament, the so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Redeemer, the Lord of Hosts. It consists of our culture, our laws, our way of life. Shalom and welcome to the channel, and welcome to our evening Shabbat class. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence. We're going to read a prayer. We'll do Psalms, got some current events, and there's a little need to know information. Then we'll open it up for some questions or comments, a dialogue. Then we'll go into our topic, which is, as I said before, the Prince of Princes, breaking it down. Okay? So, this moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts and Yahweh, our Creator, and all that they're doing to bring about the prophecies concerning Israel, the nation of Israel, when they return to their homeland. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongeth unto thee. Therefore we come before thee at this hour, at the end of your Shabbat, seeking our face and looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before thee as thy servants David and Solomon, Samuel and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before thee in truth and in righteousness and in rightness of heart. For we desire to walk after thee, O Lord, and to keep your commandments and your testimony and your statutes with all our heart and all our soul, to perform the words of the covenant that you had your prophets to write down. O Lord, allow thy face to shine upon thy people. Hear our plea, hear and do, O Lord, and hide not thy face from us any longer. For the end times are here, and we need you so very much. Peace be unto you. Okay. So with that being said, we'll read the Psalms. Okay. So I'll read 41. It's the Psalm of David. It's abuse and assurance. Blessed is he that considereth the poor. The Lord will deliver him in time of trouble. The Lord will preserve him and keep him alive, and he shall be blessed upon the earth. And thou wilt not deliver him unto the will of his enemies. The Lord will strengthen him upon the bed of languishing. Thou wilt make all his bed in his sickness. I said, Lord, be merciful unto me. Heal my soul, and I have sinned against thee. Mine enemies speak evil of me. When shall he die and his name perish? And if he come to see me, he speaketh vanity. His heart gathereth iniquity to itself. When he goeth abroad, he telleth it. All that hate me whisper together against me do they devise my hurt. And evil disease, say they, cleaveth fast unto him. And now that he lieth, he shall rise up no more. Yea, mine own familiar friend, in whom I trusted, which did eat of my bread, hath lifted up his head against me. But thou, O Lord, be merciful unto me, and raise me up, that I may requite them. By this I know that thou favorest me, because my enemies do not triumph over me. And as for me, thou upholdest me in mine integrity, and setteth me before thy face forever. Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, from everlasting to everlasting. Amen and amen. Okay, that was Psalm 41. Anybody have any comments on that? Okay, we're going to go to our current events. Okay.
Unprecedented turn of events, Saudi Arabia has launched warplanes on the Israeli capital in support of Gaza, Palestine. This bold move has sent shockwaves throughout the Middle East and the global community, reshaping the dynamics of a region that has long been fraught with conflict and geopolitical tensions. The decision by Saudi Arabia to intervene militarily on behalf of Palestine marks a significant departure from its traditional foreign policy, and its motivations, implications, and potential consequences demand careful examination. Saudi Arabia has historically maintained a policy of neutrality in the Israel-Palestine conflict, reflecting its role as a regional heavyweight and its close relationship with the United States, which has been a staunch ally of Israel. However, the Saudi leadership's decision to break with this neutrality and directly engage in military action against Israel has caught many by surprise. To understand this unprecedented move, it is essential to delve into the factors that may have prompted Saudi Arabia to take such a dramatic step. One of the most apparent motivations for Saudi Arabia's airstrike on the Israeli capital is a strong sense of solidarity with the Palestinian cause. The Israel-Palestine conflict has been a long-standing and deeply emotional issue in the Arab world, with many nations expressing unwavering support for the Palestinian people. Saudi Arabia's decision to take military action can be seen as a manifestation of this solidarity, aimed at demonstrating its commitment to the Palestinian cause. Another critical factor driving Saudi Arabia's action is the mounting public pressure and popular sentiment within the kingdom. In recent years, there has been a noticeable shift in public opinion in Saudi Arabia, with a growing number of citizens expressing their dissatisfaction with the government's perceived inaction on issues like the Israel-Palestine conflict. This discontent has been fueled by widespread social media access and the ability of Saudi citizens to engage with global events and express their opinions more freely. Saudi Arabia has long sought to assert itself as a regional power and a leader in the Arab world. By taking military action in support of Palestine, Saudi Arabia is positioning itself as a key player in the Israel-Palestine conflict and seeking to enhance its regional influence. This move could potentially strengthen its alliances and bolster its standing in the Middle East. The actual airstrike on the Israeli capital was a carefully planned and executed military operation. Saudi warplanes took off from undisclosed locations and penetrated Israeli airspace, reaching their intended target in a surprise attack.
You know, Optimum Internet gives you speeds up to 1 gig.
Wow, that's fast.
Jerusalem holds significant symbolic importance, as it is at the heart of the Israel-Palestine conflict and has deep religious and historical significance for both parties. Israel, taken aback by the sudden and unexpected attack, responded swiftly with its air defense systems. Fierce clashes between Saudi and Israeli warplanes ensued, resulting in a dramatic escalation of hostilities in the region. The international community immediately called for restraint and urged both sides to cease hostilities and return to the negotiating table. The United Nations Security Council convened an emergency meeting to address the crisis. The Saudi airstrike on Israel sent shockwaves across the world, leading to diverse reactions from various nations and international organizations. The majority of nations, including the United States, Europe, and several Arab countries, condemned Saudi Arabia's military intervention in the Israel-Palestine conflict. They called for an immediate ceasefire and expressed concern over the escalating violence. The Arab League, an organization comprising Arab states, was divided in its response. While some member states supported Saudi Arabia's actions, others criticized the move, advocating for a diplomatic solution to the conflict. The Palestinian leadership welcomed Saudi Arabia's support, viewing it as a significant development in their struggle for statehood. However, some Palestinian factions expressed reservations, calling for a unified Arab approach and emphasizing the importance of a comprehensive peace agreement. Saudi Arabia's military actions strained its relations with key allies, including the United States. The U.S. expressed its disappointment and called for a de-escalation, signaling a potential shift in the geopolitical landscape of the region. The Saudi airstrike on Israel has raised several critical questions regarding the future of the Middle East. The immediate concern is the escalation of the Israel-Palestine conflict, which could lead to a broader regional conflict involving multiple actors. The risk of a protracted and devastating war looms large, with unpredictable consequences for the entire region. Saudi Arabia's decision to act against Israel may strain its historically close relationship with the United States. The U.S. has been a long-standing ally of both Israel and Saudi Arabia, and this development could significantly complicate U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East. The division within the Arab League and varying responses from Arab states highlight potential shifts in regional alliances. Saudi Arabia's move may lead to realignments and recalibrations of relationships among Arab nations. The international community faces the daunting task of mediating a resolution to the crisis. Diplomatic efforts, including negotiations, peace talks, and conflict resolution initiatives, will be crucial in preventing further violence and finding a path toward a lasting peace in the region. In the wake of the Saudi airstrike on the Israeli capital, Jerusalem, it is crucial for all parties involved to exercise restraint and seek a diplomatic path forward. The immediate priority should be to halt the hostilities and prevent further loss of life on both sides. The international community, including the United Nations, must play a central role in facilitating dialogue and negotiations between Israel and the Palestinians, with the aim of achieving a lasting ceasefire and a roadmap towards a comprehensive peace agreement. One of the key challenges in resolving the Israel-Palestine conflict is addressing the deeply rooted and complex issues that have fueled decades of tension and violence. These include the status of Jerusalem, the rights of Palestinian refugees, the establishment of a Palestinian state, and the security concerns of both parties.
So you notice when this first came on, it said Saudi Arabia launched the airstrike. Like I said 7 hours ago, Saudi Arabia launched the airstrike on Israel. That's almost unheard of, because both of those countries is what I broke down what a city-state was. It's a city there, but it's a country within in a country, just like Washington, D.C., a city-state. So the U.S. created Saudi Arabia and they created Israel. That's why there's so much drama going on with them. Those people know, they're not actually people that, they're not actually, natives of that land. They were brought there, that was created for a strategic reason. And that's why so much controversy surrounding both of those countries. Okay. Any comments on that? Okay. Okay.
Makes it more transmissible, more infectious. So it's been classified as a variant of interest by the WHO. However, till now, the public health risk is still low, in the sense that because we all have immunity now because of the vaccines and the natural infections we've had in the past, and that immunity still seems to be quite strong.
Okay. It's supposed to be some information on jab, but I ain't saying that. My bad. Okay. So we go ahead and go into our Q&A. Anybody have any questions and comments about anything about this morning, last night, or last week, or something that they searched out they want to talk about it? No comment, no question? Okay. Play this right here, and we go into the lesson.
Sanction has become a tool of war for Americans. They have consistently sanctioned China in all sectors when they feel threatened. Now China has turned the table. China is the new Goliath. China now has the power to sanction any country, and any country, China can now heap sanctions on the United States of America. And the country will have to meet the terms of the sanction, and China has now also set a perfect mechanism to ensure the enforcement of their sanction on any company. Recently, China decided to impose heavy sanction on some known U.S. entities involved in collection of data about business activities in Xinjiang. This was done to ensure companies follow China regulations and laws. As we can always say here, sanctions are not good, but pushing China with several sanctions will surely get a retaliation from China. Stay with us till the end. Hello and welcome back to Innovative Check YouTube channel, where we delve into the innovative and transformative projects changing our world. If you're new to the channel and enjoy learning about innovation stories around the world, you've come to the right place. Please subscribe, like, and comment to help boost our videos on YouTube.
One simple vision that anyone can use to improve vision. So you can
Response to U.S. sanctions by imposing its own set of restrictions on American firms, particularly those involved in collecting open source data about business activities in Xinjiang. This move is significant as it demonstrates China's growing assertiveness in its economic and political engagements, especially in relation to the U.S. The situation underscores the increasing complexities global companies face as they navigate the two largest economies in the world, each with its own regulatory and political demands. At the heart of these tensions are concerns surrounding human rights issues in Xinjiang. The U.S. has taken a firm stance against what it sees as serious human rights violations in the region, particularly against ethnic minorities like the Uyghurs. In response, it has imposed sanctions on several Chinese government officials. These measures are part of a broader strategy to hold entities accountable for their involvement in or complicity with alleged human rights abuses. Just a quick reminder to hit the like button below. YouTube has been restricting my videos a lot recently because of bots, so your like does help out this video massively in terms of the algorithm in YouTube. The US has also passed the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act, UFLPA, which requires companies importing products into the US to ensure their supply chains are free from forced labor, particularly from Xinjiang. This legislation has significant implications for global commerce, given the prevalence of Xinjiang-sourced materials in various industries. From textiles to technology, from selling, companies now need to conduct thorough due diligence on their supply chains to comply with U.S. regulations, a service increasingly provided by U.S. data firms. China's recent sanctions target these data firms directly, marking a strategic shift in Beijing's approach. By penalizing U.S.-based firms like Heron and individuals associated with them, China is signaling its intention to counter U.S. sanctions more aggressively. Karen, for instance, has been instrumental in helping companies navigate UFLPA compliance by providing detailed data on Xinjiang-linked supply chains. Despite the sanctions, representatives from Karen and C4OTS, another firm involved in this type of research, have indicated that their operations will largely remain unaffected. They emphasize their reliance on open source information and their commitment to unbiased reporting on human rights issues. These statements reflect a broader narrative within the U.S. business and policy circles, underscoring the importance of maintaining ethical standards in international trade. The Chinese government, on its part, maintains that the USC sanctions are unfounded and has called for their revocation. The use of the anti-foreign sanctions law by China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs in this latest round of sanctions is a clear indication of Beijing's resolve to protect its interests and counter what it perceives as extraterritorial overreach by the U.S.
Okay, so what we're looking at is all the time. Yeah, America's always posing sanctions on other countries to cripple them. Now, China, based on where the position that they're in the world, on the world stage, now they didn't impose a bunch of sanctions on America, and they standing by to make sure they be enforced. So, anybody have any comments on that or heard anything about it? Okay, I had asked a question earlier about Q&A. Anybody have any questions or comments about what was being talked about this morning or last night or whatever? The comments? Okay. So with that being said, we go into our lesson. I had mentioned this morning about the Prince of Princes, so I'm gonna read that, and then I want to go all the way into it because it's of the utmost importance that you understand what's going on with it. So that's in Daniel. It says, like I said, keep in mind the story they even gave us about in Revelations about the Antichrist coming and he's gonna do such and such, and then he's gonna get destroyed by Jesus Christ. He coming on the white horse, and he's gonna destroy him. But so I'm in Daniel. And it says chapter 8. Daniel chapter 8. It says this is the ram and the he-goat. It says well, first of all, in chapters 8, 1 through give you the complete story. 1 through 8, Daniel had a dream of he saw a ram. He's standing by the river. He saw a ram coming with 2 horns, which is symbolized the Medes and Persians. Then he seen a goat come with 1 horn and smashed into the ram and destroyed it. Then the ram grew and got powerful. So we're gonna pick it up in verse 15 because the angel Gabriel was commanded to come and give the understanding today to Daniel what he had seen in the vision. So we're going to pick it up in Daniel 8 and 15. It says, and it came to pass when even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought for the meaning, then behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man. So we know this angel, which is Gabriel. Then 16 says, I heard a man's voice between the banks of the lyre, which called and said to Gabriel, make this man to understand. So I want to go in on that. So if you go back, if you look at this story from Daniel 8, like I said, all the way to Daniel 12, you'll see what's really going on. So Daniel 12, we see in verse 1, it says, at that time shall Michael stand up. So we see already 2 angels. We see Gabriel, we see Michael right here. It says, stand up, the great prince which shall stand for the children of our people, and there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even at that same time, and at that time our people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be written in the book. Right? So ain't no New Testament right here. The book he talking about is Tanakh. In verse 2, and many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, some to shame and everlasting contempt. That's Ezekiel 37. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that shall turn many to righteousness as the stars of forever and ever. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words, seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. Then I, Daniel, looked. This is the point I want to make. This is what I want to make. Connect the dot right here. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood the other 2, one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river. Then verse 6, And one said, one of these is an angel on one bank and another angel on another bank, and it's an angel standing in the middle of the river. So verse 6 says, one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters, he in the middle of the river, standing in the middle of the river, how long shall this end be? So that's my point right there. So it's one on one bank of the river. This is the setting. One on one bank, one on the other bank, and Michael is standing in the middle of the river on the water. And so we go back to where I was reading with that understanding. Verse 16, Daniel 8 and 16. All this go together from 8 all the way to 12. It's the same setting. So he says, and I heard the man's voice right here, and I heard a man's voice between the banks of the Elijah. That's Michael in Daniel chapter 12, which he called Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. So my point is this: Gabriel is one of the angels on one of the banks. Michael is the one on the river. He called to Gabriel and he said, make this man to understand the vision. So this morning we was dealing with the order of things and how we, how everything's supposed to work and flow, and dealing with the Hebrew culture. So we see right here, Lord of hosts got these angels that's with him, 6. He control, he dictate what they do. He tell them what to do. He command them. Yahweh command him. So when we was in Ezra, let's go to Ezra right quick. Let's look at this order. So he told Gabriel, make Daniel understand. Why would he say that? Because Gabriel possessed more knowledge than him. He has knowledge and understanding the eternal beings. He got the ability to make Daniel understand. Right? So we're in Ezra. Let's look at it right quick. So we see that they came back from Babylon, right? And Ezra came with them. It says Ezra goes to Jerusalem. Now after these things, this chapter 7 of Ezra. Now after these things, in the reign of Artaxerxes, king of Persia, Ezra, the son of Sirach, son of Azra, son of Hilkiah, the son of Shulam, the son of Zodak, son of Atuk, son of Amaro, son of Azra, son of Merid, son of Zechariah, son of Uzi, son of Berechiah, son of Azul, son of Benaiah, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron, chief priest. So he's out of Aaron's lineage, right? You see that? So we know the Most High got a covenant with Aaron. You're going to always have a man out of Aaron's lineage to stand before him. And he always going to have a man out of David's lineage. That's the key. So we see right here, Ezra is out of Aaron's lineage. This Ezra, verse 6, this Ezra went up from Babylon, and he was a ready scribe in the law of Moses, which the Lord God of Israel had given. And the king granted him all his requests according to the hand of the Lord, his God, upon him. So like we was talking, see who's behind this. He put the will in the king to let Ezra go, right? And nothing Ezra did. And there went up some of the children of Israel, and of the priests and the Levites, and the singers and the porters, and the Nethinim unto Jerusalem in the 7th year of Artaxerxes the king. So we see right here, it's a distinction between the priests and all the rest of the men in Israel, like we was talking about. You got some metal, you got gold more precious than silver, silver more precious than iron, and iron is more precious than tin, whatever, however you want to go there. That's how it goes. So these men, like we said, these men wondered that these priests, along with Ezra, returned back to Jerusalem. When Ezra got there, he saw that they had sinned, right? Let's look at it. I'm in chapter, that finally had sinned. They had took strange wives and they, defiled themselves. So it says in 10 and 18, and among the sons of the priests, there were found that had taken strange wives, namely of the sons of Joshua, son of Jozadak, and his brethren Misha and Eleazar and Jorid, and they gave their hands that they would put away their wives and being guilty, they offered a ram of the flock of their trespass. Okay, so some of these priests that sinned, but the ones that with Ezra, they all lined up with Ezra, and Ezra told them, just like Michael told Gabriel, what we just read in Daniel. Ezra told them, make the people understand. Because they can do that. All the men in Israel can't do that, but he told these priests, because of their lineage, he said, make the people. He said, gather. I'm gonna see you in 3 days. We're gonna gather in the streets in 3 days. And when they got there, Ezra, he brought out all these priests, these Levites, righteous ones, not the wicked ones. And he commanded them, make them understand the law. And we see the same thing right here. Michael tells in Daniel chapter 8, in verse 16, he says, Daniel says, and I heard a man's voice between the banks of the Uriah, which called and said to Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. So he came near where I stood, and when he came, I was afraid, and I fell upon my face. But he said unto me, understand. See that? That's what Michael told him to do. He says, understand, O son of man, for at the time of the end shall be the vision. Now, as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground, but he touched me and set me upright, because he can do that. And he said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of indignation, for the time appointed, the end shall be. So just imagine that. Imagine if Gabriel was instead of chopping off of his mouth, I thought he know more than Gabriel. You're not gonna get the understanding. Gabriel ain't gonna be able to make him understand. That goes back to that submissive spirit. You're coming like a child. And then you're able to understand. You're able to wax strong with knowledge when you got the right spirit. You're able to receive the knowledge. So he says, 20, and the ram which thou sawest having 2 horns are the kings of the Medes and Persians, and the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king, Alexander. Now that being broken, whereas 4 stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. And in the latter times of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. I told you that's Antiochus, the Antichrist. It says 24, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. He shall destroy wonderfully. He shall prosper, practice. Then here we go. This is how we know the Antichrist. He shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. He didn't say he's gonna do like Nebuchadnezzar did. Nebuchadnezzar ran him out and took the choice of the people and took them to Babylon. He says right here, Antiochus is going to destroy him. That's because he threw with the Israelites. So he says 25 is where we're going. The topic. It says, and through his policies, this Antiochus, through his policies also, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart. But by peace, he shall destroy many. We just saw who we're going to destroy, the holy people. He destroyed many Israelites. And he shall also stand up against the prince of princes. But he shall be broken without hand. So when you was in, like I said this morning, when you was in the church, you didn't have a second thought. You thought that was Yahweh because it wasn't rightly divided. So Yahweh ain't no prince. Whoever this is, among prince, which is same sons, which is what these angels are, sons of God. Or you can say they princes of God. So you got a bunch of prince, but it's one particular prince that's prince of all of them. And it ain't hard to figure out who that is. Daniel 12 tell you at that time, Michael gonna stand up, the great prince. That's the prince of princes. So anyway, he's the one. Daniel 8:25 telling you he's the one that's gonna destroy Antiochus, not Yahweh. So it was eluding me this morning, that story in the Apocrypha. But what I was doing was I was looking in Second Ezra when it's actually in Second Maccabees. That's SABBATH. So anyway, we're gonna look at it, we're gonna read it, show you this happened, how it happened, because of, like I said, it's of the utmost importance. So we had read where Antiochus came and this morning out in First Maccabees, and all he did, how he destroyed the Israelites and he took all the stuff out of the temple and he destroyed it. He did worse than what Nebuchadnezzar did, because the Most High had intentions on bringing the Israelites back when he brought Nebuchadnezzar. But when he brought Antiochus, he had already told Daniel, prophesy that his indignation gonna come to a fool. That's how we ended up over here. We were ran to the west coast of Africa first, then we ended up over here. So we're gonna pick it up and read what I just read in Daniel 8:25. It came to pass. So it says right here in in Second Ezra chapter 9. Now, this is verse 1. Now about that time it happened, came to pass, that Antiochus returned in disorder from the region of Persia. So what happened was he was looking for money. And just like the Vikings, that's why the Vikings was coming to England and Great Britain, attacking those monasteries. They knew that's where the wealth was at. And so that's what back in ancient times, they would attack the temples. That's why the Chaldeans came to Jerusalem, because that guy had boasted and showed them everything he had. Showed them all the gold in the temple and all that, how the temple was overlaid with gold. He showed it to the Chaldeans. That's why they came back. So right here, Antiochus is low on money to fund his army and fund his military adventures. So he had to go to these different temples in these different countries and rob them. So he went to this temple right here, but it didn't work out for him. People was waiting on it. It says, now about that time, it happened that Antiochus returned in disorder. He pissed off because he wasn't able to do what he normally do. These people had a plan set up for him. They had ambushed him. It says, and disorder from the region of Persia, for he had entered the city of Pelopolis and tried to rob the temple and get control of the city. And this, the people naturally had swift recourse to arms, and they were rowdy. So he got rowdy. And the result was that Antiochus was put to flight by the people of the country, and he left in disgrace. And while he was in Banda, news came to him of what had happened to Nicar and the forces of Timus, and excited by anger, he thought he would fasten upon the Jews the injury done to them by those who had put him to flight. So he ordered his charioteer to drive without stopping until he finished his journey, although the judgment of heaven accompany him. For in his arrogance, there you go. He just in his arrogance. So he said that's just one of the characteristics of the Antichrist. This is how we know it's him. So in his arrogance, he said, so let me paint the picture. He had already, we saw in Maccabees 1, he had already came and up against Israel and destroyed it and took all the stuff out of the temple. And after he done that, then he decided to go to Egypt and try to, and he took over Egypt. Now he needed money. He went to this place, left his Lord of hosts in Jerusalem to watch it until he come back. But they routed them, people, while he was gone. So now, because he had already done what he done to the Israelites the first time, he thinking that in his arrogance, he can go back and do it again. So he says, I will make Jerusalem the common graveyard of the Jews when I get there. But here you go, the prophecy caught up with him, overtook him, that I just read in Daniel 8:25, that the Prince of Princes is going to break in without hand. So here you go right here. But the all-seeing Lord of hosts, God of Israel, struck him down with an incurable but unseen blow, for he had hardly uttered the words when he was seized with an incurable pain in his bowels and sharp internal pains, very justly, for he had tormented the bowels of others with many unusual miseries, and he did not desist at all from his insultants, but was more and more filled with arrogance and breathing fire in his fury against the Israelites and giving orders to hasten the journey. But it happened that he fell out of his chariot as he was rushing along and was racked in every part of his body from the fall. And the man who just now presumed to command the waves of the sea, as his arrogance, in his superhuman boastfulness, and thought he could weigh the mountain heights in his scales, was flat on the ground and had to be carried in a litter, making the power of God manifest to all men, so that worms swarmed from his impious body. This happened in all of a sudden, an instant. Worms swarmed from his impious creature's body, and while he was still alive in anguish and pain, his flesh fell off. And because of the stench, the whole army turned from his corruption in disgust. The man who shortly before thought he could touch the stars of heaven, no one could now bear to carry because of his incurable stench, his intolerable stench. So it was then that broken in spirit, that's part of the prophecy, said he's going to be broken without hand by the Prince of Princes, not Yahweh. So he says, broken in spirit, he began, for the most part, to give up his arrogance. And under the scourge of God, to obtain some knowledge, for he was tortured with pain in every instance. And when he could not even endure his own stench, he said this: it is right to submit to God. And since man is mortal, not to think he is God's equal. And the vile fellow made a vow, check it out, made a vow to the Lord, who would no longer have mercy on him, stating that he declared the holy city, which he was hastening to level with the ground and to make a common graveyard, free. And as for the Jews, the Israelites, who had who had decided were unworthy of burial, but should be thrown out with their children to the wild animals for the birds to pick, that he would make them all equal to citizens of Athens and the holy sanctuary, which before he had plundered, he would adorn with the finest offerings, and he would give back all, look at this, he would give back all the sacred dishes many times over, and the expenses and the expenses incident to the sacrifices he would supply for his own revenue, from his own revenue. And in addition to this, he would become an Israelite and visit every inhabited place to proclaim the power of God. But when his suffering by no more means ceased, for God's judgment had come upon him, and in despair about himself, he wrote the Israelites the following letter, assuming the attitude of supplant. It read thus to the esteemed Israelite citizens, Antiochus, the king and general, sends hearty greetings and wishes for their health and prosperity. If you and your children are well and your affairs are going as you wish, I am glad. As many hope is hope in heaven, I remember with affection your esteem and goodwill. On my way back from the region of Persia, I have been taken taken seriously ill, so I have thought it necessary to plan for a general welfare of all. Not that I despair of myself. I have strong hopes of recovering from my sickness, but observing that my father, on the occasion when he had campaigned in the upper country, appointed his successor, so that if anything unexpected happened or any disturbing news came, the people at home, knowing to whom the government was left, should not be disturbed. And in addition to this, perceiving that the adjacent princesses, they go to princes, who are neighbors to the kingdom, watch for opportunities and are expectants of what may turn up. I have appointed my son, Antiochus king, whom I have often committed and commended to the most of you when I are hurried off to the upper provinces, and I have written him what is written below. So I beg and beseech you to remember the public uh, private services rendered to you and to continue your goodwill to me and my son, for I am convinced that he will follow my policy with the mildness and kindness of his relationship with you. So we see right here, like I was saying, it's plain as day. What was written in what was written in Daniel 8 verse 25, what happened right here. The Prince of Princes broke in with our hands. But check out what happened. He wrote a letter to his son. You know they had like 7 or 8 Antiochus that followed him. So what he wrote his son was, free the Jews. This is what Edomites come in at. He said, free them. And I'm going to return the vessels and stuff that we took out of there. So free them, and they rebuilt the temple. That's where Herod come in at. But we already know what Daniel told us about the abomination of desolation. Ain't no Israelite gonna rebuild no temple because he threw with the Israelites. The Most High, the Lord of hosts, indignation came to a fool with the Israelites. The Israelites left. This is where the tribulation coming in. The Israelites left, went to the west coast, and Esau came in, stole the land. That's what Obadiah tell you. We just getting more information on how it went down right here. Okay. So, like I said, a king can't be a prince. A king is a king and a prince is a prince. A king is a son. So the person that killed, or entity that killed Antiochus wasn't Yahweh. Yahweh ain't no prince. Any comments on that? Okay. So that, like I said, that was in the book of Second Maccabees. And First Maccabees, both First and Second Maccabees is dealing with the prophecies they come to pass that Daniel wrote. Not you don't go from Daniel to the Revelations. You go from Daniel to Second and First and Second Maccabees. If you want the truth. Now you want to ride this train that these Edomites engage you can go to Revelations, but you want the truth, you go from Daniel to First and Second Maccabees. You get the truth. Okay. So with that being said, anybody have any comments? Nobody have no comments, questions about anything, or something you want to talk about before we go? We got about 10 minutes. Everybody good?
Yes, sir. Thank you for doing the connecting the dots from Daniel to Maccabees.
Right. And like I said, most people don't even know that that's in there. You know, they glaze over it because they don't see the importance of it because they know you're not connecting it to the prophecies in Daniel because they already you've been trained to go to Revelations. Okay. So with that being said, nobody have nothing. I'm gonna see y'all Tuesday for our advanced Bible study. Okay. Say shalom, shalom, and another shalom. I see y'all. Like I said, Tuesday.